You're listening to
The Classroom Collaborative
podcast with your hosts, Dee Dee Wills,
Ed Ross, and Adam Peterson.
Here we go.
We're so glad you're here.
Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Classroom Collaborative podcast. It has been a while. I am Adam Peterson.
Hi, I'm Dee Dee Wills.
And we are excited to be back.
Yeah.
We had to take a little break. I caught the Rona. I've been
So
down.
he has the Rona badge.
Yeah, right? Is there a sticker for that? Like everybody gets their stickers that they got their shot. Do you get a badge that you had it?
I don't know. Except for a collective. I'm so sorry you were sick. I'm so glad that you are on the healing road. I'm glad that you are getting better, even though you got run over by a truck.
That's the thing. It could have been so much worse.
Yeah.
I keep counting my lucky stars that it didn't spread to my lungs. And I mean, I had a cough. I ended up in the hospital, but everything checked out okay. I still have no idea where it came from. Had to have been one of my students, I think, or the kids brought it home from school. I don't know. It's just, and it's amazing. Like I've talked to so many people now who have seen me share about it or have shared what happened to them. And like it hit me all energy. Like that's all it's been is I have not been able to catch up
any energy
on sleep. Yeah. But other people are like, oh my gosh, I was down with a fever and I've never had a fever.
Oh, that's good.
Patricia got it, but she had already had her first vaccines. So they think that helped because she just had a stuffy nose. That was about it.
Yeah.
But, I got the official notice. I'm out of quarantine today. So
you're free.
I'm free to do whatever I want, which is not much at all right now.
Any old time. Okay. Nobody wants to hear me sing. Okay. So today we thought we would talk about maybe the last few books we got off of Amazon.
Yeah.
Because there's there's always some changing things out there, right? There's always some new books, some books that we're really excited about. Mm-hmm. And so I have a few that I just thought were some of them are fun, some of them are poignant. That's like a $3 word. Are you practicing?
Yeah. What have you been doing this morning, Mrs. Wills? I just rolled out of bed.
I've been working with the thesaurus.
You've been reading that thesaurus.
Yeah.
It's funny you brought this up too to talk about this. One of the days last week when I was on quarantine and sitting outside soaking up the sun, because that helps more than anything. I'll attest to that. I felt better in the days I was outside. Our garage doubles as it shouldn't, but as a storage unit for all the stuff from my old classroom. Oh. And I was finally started going through like tubs and tubs and tubs of children's books. I'm like, you know what? There's so many in here that I can think off the top of my head that my students never ever looked at. Like they were just ones, that went on a shelf. And so we were starting to put together some books to donate to organizations or to kids at Trisha's classroom or whatnot. And as I was going through it, I was like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot about this, or I totally forgot about this book. And not being in the classroom full time right now makes you forget about all these amazing books that are out there, and even the ones you have, not necessarily have to go buy,
Right. Exactly. And, one of the things that I'm really lucky as well is, we have a fantastic public library system here in Douglas County. And so you can just go online and request them, and then they send you an email and they pull them and hold them for you, which I think is just how libraries work. I mean, I think that's how they work everywhere.
Yeah, that happens here too.
It's this amazing place. You just go and you borrow books. It's like a movie library. But anyhow, it's really a great system. So oftentimes, we're budget strapped and we can't do the buy thing. And so those borrowing systems are fantastic. If you have a nice school library, that's great. But if a public library is near you, even oftentimes if you're in a small town, when I was in a small town, they would take from the main library and the same thing would happen. It would just come to you magically.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It is amazing. And then you get to keep them for a while and then you just bring them back. So,
what's funny is that's how I read better. Like, if we have a whole library of books here at our house on a shelf, that we've collected over the years, but I'll spend.
You just gotta return them in time.
Yeah. Like I'll spend months and months and months and months on a novel if it's ours that we own, but I'll try to get it done in 2 weeks if it's one that I have borrowed, cause there's that deadline.
Right. And the other thing that's pretty cool is, you could do the borrowed books, and leave them in your classroom for students to use. You could also do the same thing with audiobooks and put them on an audio track, and borrow them as well. Cause the books that you get off of Scholastic, that's how I got all my audiobooks. They kind of add up. So
Right.
that would also be a great way to, have a listening center, and have students have an opportunity to get a variety of books. I don't need to tell teachers here that the more books that they read or hear, the better their vocabulary, the chances of success,
Right.
their literacy skills go up, all of those things. So even
Well,
though
I think
we have, go ahead.
It's good to note too, and this could be depend on where you live and the size of your library district and whatnot, but I know here in our town, and we have a smaller town, like if you build relationships with the children's librarians and get to know them and go and support it and support the programs. And I remember there were times where my team would send an email or call them up and say, hey, we're doing a unit on da 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 da. Can you put together some books? And we wouldn't even really have to go in and find them or check them. We'd have to go check them out, but the librarian would have a pile there for us, knowing that they were being used in a classroom. So it's one of those things that's why that place is there. So just reach out.
Such a huge resource that oftentimes, I know that they get, most librarians, I would say most librarians, right? 99% of all librarians are very excited about the idea of having a task to help you, with your students. We even had, one that would come into our classrooms and read for us. So that was all neat. So those are all some resources that you can have. I imagine nothing like that's happening this year as far as having somebody come in to read. But, you could maybe do a Zoom or something like that.
Right.
A visiting librarian over the internet.
Well, let's talk about what you bought, because I've found a bunch that I went through. I haven't really bought any books lately, but I found some that I pulled out of my tubs that I know I want to read with my little ones when I get to see them again. But what are your new and noteworthy books there, Mrs. Wills?
Well, I'm going to say they're new to me. I don't know that they exactly when they were published. I'm looking for that information. I don't have the publishing date right in front of me. This one's from 2019, so it's not very new, but it's really good. It's called My Monster and Me, and it's written by Nadia Hussein, and the illustrator is Ella Bailey.
Wait, can you show me the cover of that one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There's another book called My Monster, I think that I've used, but it's not that one.
So there's a picture on the cover of a big yellow monster. He's kind of waving, and then there's a little boy underneath it. And it's a reassuring story about sharing worries. So, one of the things that I've always had in a classroom, I had several students who were they were worriers. They worried a lot. If I were going to be gone, they were worried. When I was doing a lot of traveling on the road for presenting, I always made a point of, sending in an email to the substitute or the text to the substitute to just say, hey, tell so-and-so I'm thinking about him. I'm proud for him. Just so a worrier. Right. He would get really, really worried if our schedule was not as it usually would be, or if we were going to have a fire drill that day. I just always made sure I told, our students all have different needs, right? And so just kind of front loading that was really great. But this would be a great book for him.
I like the big yellow monster too. I
would have a student come up to me, the first few weeks of kindergarten, everybody, all of them are a little worried. They're all little fretters. And
where's my mom?
She'd go, Mrs. Wills, I'm holding it together. I am holding it together. I'm like, I'm so proud of you. Every day, I'm holding it together. I'm so proud of you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, My Monster and Me is a great little book. It's not a really long text. It's few words.
Sometimes for our little ones, though, those are the best. If you ever there's some great long books out there. Don't get me wrong, but there's some that I remember reading in my class. I'm like, okay, I lost them. No matter how engaging you are, no matter how active you are during the story,
right.
Some children's books need to be broken up into a couple of readings for sure.
I agree. This is definitely one. And if you have, if you are a parent with a child that's a worrier, it's really, the book is for 3 and up. So it's a really simple text, but a really great one, for students who might worry.
Cool. I was when I was talking about going through my tubs and finding books, and one of the ones that just sparked me, and it's one that I read every single year, and it still has a note written in it from the girls. I taught these 2 sisters who I think are in college now, who gave it to me. It's a book I will never forget, and I'll never forget to read. It's called Mrs. Spritzer's Garden. I
Oh,
don't know
I
if you've
love that
ever,
book.
oh, it's such a good story. Like
Yes.
one of those books that you can go back to all the time and just, it's a great end of the year book for sure. So if you teachers are listening to this and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I want to find, a book to read on the last day of school. If you've never read Mrs. Spritzer's Garden, definitely check it out. So it's long story short, it's, about a teacher. It's all told through this idea of growth. It's a growth, I guess, kind of a growth mindset book. More about taking care of each other and what school means to
Nurture.
you. But yeah. So a teacher is given a packet of seeds that she plants on the first day of school, and she nurtures them and watches them grow and helps them each on their own way. And by the end, she cultivates them and realizes that she's ready to send them off. And the book is, obviously the analogy is there's tying the seeds to the children in her class. But it's such a good book. And I pulled out of one of my tubs out in the driveway, and I just sat and read it. And I was like, sat and read it by myself in the sun last week.
That's the perfect thing to do while you're recuperating.
Right.
That was a great one. I had a principal who gave that to us all on the first day of school. That was a really neat one.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that was a really good one.
Yeah, I love that book.
Okay, so my next book is kind of cool. It's called Maybe Something Beautiful. And it's how art transformed a neighborhood. And I'm going to look really, really quick to see if I can find the copyright date on there. 2016. So
I've never heard of it though. That's cool.
Oh, it's pretty cool. So it's by Isabel Campoy and Teresa Howell, and it's illustrated by Rafael Lopez. And I have been diving deep into the work of Rafael Lopez, as well as another illustrator that I'm going to be talking about in a second, because when this airs, we're going to be very close to the opening of a virtual conference that I am putting on, and my very, very good friend Adam Peterson is going to be presenting.
I was going to say, can we talk about that yet or no?
Yeah, because it's been like total hush hush, but it's been in the works for about 3 months now. And Rafael Lopez is going to be one of the presenters. He is an illustrator and an artist, and his body of work is really pretty well known to those in the children world. He wrote The Day, or no, he didn't write. He illustrated The Day You Begin, which was a really great. A lot of people use that at the beginning of the year. Plus just a ton. So I'm really excited about interviewing him. I'm going to be interviewing him. I mean, no pressure or anything, but I'm going to be interviewing him. And so I wanted to kind of dive a little bit further into his history. And he is an illustrator who is from San Diego as well. So he travels back and forth between San Diego and Mexico. And he was born in Mexico and raised in Mexico, now lives in San Diego.
Wow.
He divides his time. But this book is it is about his life and what he did in San Diego for murals. So there's an area in San Diego, Barrio Logan, which is, it's like an East Village in San Diego. It's very diverse. And he and his wife designed and planned murals in that neighborhood. So it's funny that I knew him before I knew him, because driving through there, our most favorite authentic Mexican place is right there.
Oh,
so
really?
I've been through there so many times. But anyhow, this is just a beautiful book. Illustrations are fantastic, and it's the impact art has on our society. So here's just I know Adam is looking at.
I love those artwork. Yeah, that's cool.
I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. So.
Okay, I know it's only 9 a.m., but now you have me wanting Mexican food. That sounds really good. Although I can't taste everything, so I don't know if it's worth it right now.
It's just a huge shout out. If you live in San Diego or been to San Diego, you need to make a trip to a place called Las Cuatro Milpas, which is run by, it's been in business, I think, since the 40s. And they make everything fresh every single day. It is life-changing. You need to bring cash. It is life-changing. And it's also gene-changing, because, when I go, my genes, completely shrink. It's so weird. But you have to bring cash, and you have to be prepared to stand in line, and you need to have your order ready when you stand up there.
Really?
So yeah, I mean, but you stand in line always. There is never not a line.
Okay, so this is weird that you just mentioned this, because now I got to know if you know. We went to San Diego. This is totally off topic, but now I'm thinking food. We went to San Diego in, oh my gosh, it was probably the year Trish and I started dating, like 2001, 2002, with her family. And we went to this steakhouse. We went to like San Diego Zoo, and we did the aquariums, and we did like the whole sightseeing thing out there.
Yeah.
But there was a steakhouse called Hunter's Steakhouse, and no one else has ever heard of it before, but her brother and I, we talk about it. Oh my gosh, it was the best steak I've ever had in my life, and I'll never forget it. And I'm sure it's probably just a dive place, but.
You know what? I think Mark and I ate there a couple of times when we were dating.
Oh, it was so good.
For some reason, he did not choose to propose to me at the Hunter. It was in the parking lot of McDonald's. So
really?
Fun fact.
Hey, look at you now. So that's awesome. So one of the things that I was looking at too when we were talking about books here in Illinois, and you know this name too, Dee Dee, from the Illinois ASCD conference. Becky Anderson is her name. She co-owns Anderson's Bookshop here in Naperville, Illinois, and she's always at that conference doing like talks about new and noteworthy books. And they are a big proponent. If you guys haven't ever, check it out. Andersonsbookshop.com. It's a little local bookshop. I think they have 3 locations here in Illinois, and they've made it through the pandemic. They've stayed alive through Amazon. Like, they're an awesome little bookshop. But the reason I brought them up was they are a big supporter of the Illinois Reads program. And every year Illinois Reads puts out a list of like new top books that I don't know how they're decided on. Well, here it says Illinois Reads was introduced by the Illinois Reading Council March 2013. The initiative encourages people to read books by Illinois authors. Each year, the program offers a new list of books at 6 different age levels. Illinois Reads kicks off in March and concludes in November with a family reading night and an annual statewide event. So anyway, if you go to their website and go to books and click on Illinois Reads, they have their list of all the Illinois Read winners this year. And there's some really cool looking children's books on there as well. Some are novels and young adult books, but so one of the top ones for the children's books on Illinois Reads list this year is a book called Jasper and Ollie, and I think it's illustrated and written by the same guy. I'm pretty sure he's the illustrator too. Yeah, his name is Alex Willen, Willan, Alex Willen. But Jasper and Ollie, I think it's a sloth and a fox are these 2 little friends. And it's kind of a book about the 2 characters are so very different that it says kids and grown-ups will giggle as they decide if they're more of a Jasper or an Ollie. And it's a book about, they said the concept is about taking time to smell the roses, a perfect lesson in our very overly scheduled world. It's about these 2 little friends who are racing to get somewhere. One of them stops to smell the roses and do all these little things while the other one is trying to hurry on. And the cover looks super cute. I haven't read it, but I know that when Anderson's puts out a list, they are books to definitely pick up. I know a lot of my collection that I have are books that I saw Becky Anderson speak about, or heard her talk about at a conference.
Cool. Yeah. I'm trying to think if I would be this. I'm definitely, I fluctuate between the 2 personalities, the smell of roses. When we're trying to get out of the house, Mark is hustling me along. I'm telling you.
I'm usually the last one. Yeah.
You're the last one too. Oh my gosh, we're probably not a very good team then.
No.
The next book is, this is a Caldecott winner. It's We Are Water Protectors. It's just beautiful. There we go. This was this year's Caldecott winner. And yeah, it's not this year because we've only had a few months in this year, but 2020 Caldecott winner. But it just says, water is the first medicine. It affects and connects us all. When a black snake threatens to destroy the earth and poison our people's water, one young water protector takes a stand to defend Earth's most sacred resource. So, I mean, I think it's a great one to think about for Earth Day, which is right around the corner. It's about land preservation. It's told from a Native American perspective. It has both the illustrator and the author are Native Americans, and I don't know that we have enough voices for children's books.
Right.
And it's a beautiful, beautiful book. So this would be a great one to maybe think about around Earth Day.
Very cool. It's weird to think that that's coming up next month. My goodness.
I know.
When you said, like, we've only been a couple months in, doesn't it feel like 2021 has lasted quite a while, though? Like,
it feels a bit like you're on, mile 20 of a marathon.
Right. Another one on their list, and this author is one that Landon, my son, and I absolutely love to read together. His name is Jeffrey Brown. He wrote the Jedi Academy books. So Jedi Academy are like precursor Star Wars storybooks about kids who go to the Jedi Academy to learn how to become a Jedi.
Okay.
But this one on the Illinois Reads list is called My Teacher is a Robot, and it says Fred does not want to go to school because it's boring, especially because he thinks his teacher is a robot. Okay. If only Fred could imagine a way for his day to be more exciting. So it's about this little boy whose imagination kind of takes over his entire life and gets wrapped up in this kind of fantastic world of his. But
that sounds really cool.
It looks cool. I haven't read it, but I've read the Jedi Academy books with my son, and
so it's going to be probably along the same line of engagement.
Yeah, they're fun little picture/novel books that are easy reads for kids.
Nice. Okay, so my last two books are just more humorous.
No, we need that right now.
But this book, I feel like, is a window into my soul. It's called I Really Want the Cake. And it's by Simon Phillip, and it's just a really, really cute book. How on earth are you to resist the most amazing cake? One little girl is about to find out, and just how hard it can be. So she's the whole time is talking about, talking to herself. You must not eat the cake. I really want the cake. And she's doing all these different things to distract herself from getting the cake. I'm not going to lie, like me. And then, disaster strikes. They just have a binge moment in the pantry. I'm not talking about, that's never happened to me, but I've heard that thing. Anyhow, I love this book because it's funny. It'd be fun to read. You could do it with lots of different voices. But it's also told from a first person perspective. So it would make a great book to add to your mentor text library when you're thinking about how do you give a first person perspective? What does that look like versus a narrative who's telling the story, right? Narrative, or is there a narrator or is it told in the first person? So
that's cool.
Yeah, it's a really cute book.
This one that I just found too is one that I think I'm going to order because I think my kids would love it as well as Trisha's kids in her classroom. But it's called Just Read, and it talks about how reading is such a big accomplishment for kids, no matter what type of reader you are. It says it follows a diverse group of word-loving children who grab the opportunity to read wherever and whenever they can. They read while waiting and while sliding or swinging. They read while in music, and they read in Braille and signs on the road. So it talks about how reading is all around us at all different times. I think that's perfect. I talk about that with my little, not my preschoolers so much, but I work with some pre-K kiddos who were just talking about finding letters on signs and finding letters around the house. And
right.
So that's a cool book. Just Read is what it's called by, got to find the author's name here, Lori, Lori Degman, Degman. Just Read.
Okay, I'm writing these down so you all can come back and find them if you want to. You'll just go to my blog. There is a tab that says podcast, and you can listen to all of the past episodes, but then you'll find the show notes there as well.
It's a really cool looking book too. And the kids are all, it looks like watercolored together, and
cool.
It's a really neat book.
So my next book was also part of my conference quest.
I like that.
Conference quest. Because I have invited this illustrator/author to also participate in an interview with me. So it's Dan Santat, and I've been a massive fan of his for a long time. And then I ordered books that I hadn't gotten when they first came out, and I've it's gone up. So he wrote the book Beagle, which won a Caldecott. He also wrote, he wrote and illustrated that book. That one's about an imaginary friend, which it's been out for a bit, so I didn't pull that off my shelf. He also wrote, or illustrated the book Dude, which is about, What are they?
I don't know that one.
Oh my gosh.
Should I know that one?
Your pre-K and your kindergarten students would love that. I'm going to go grab that one really, really quick.
It's called Dude.
Dude.
How have I not seen that before?
It's by Aaron Reynolds.
Oh, sorry, I know Aaron Reynolds, but I don't know that book. No.
Oh my God. And instead of it saying words by or written by, it just said word by
That's
Aaron
awesome.
Reynolds. Because there's only one word in this whole book, and it's dude. So it's about these, I think they're beavers, and they're surfing. And as they're surfing, I've talked about this book a lot, so
but I've never seen that one.
But as they're surfing, they come across this shark. So, anyhow, it is hilarious.
That's cool.
And it's said all of his books that I've come across, tell the story with pictures. So,
right.
I know that it's a lot of what we talk about in teaching writing is having really good model, text to go back to. And this one is spectacular. Every single page is a mini lesson. Every single page. So you could just take every page and say, you could look at speech bubbles. You could look at expression. You can see motion. You can see, perspective. I mean, it's just an amazing book, but that's not the one I'm talking about. Okay. So the other book I wanted to talk about is called Are We There Yet? And it is written and illustrated by Dan Santan. And what I love about this, it says, welcome to the road trip of a lifetime. You're talking about car rides and the conversations that go back and forth. So it starts with, you're invited to a birthday party. And just the illustrations tell you exactly what's going on in the story,
that's cool.
Right?
Look at the dad's face.
I know. And the woman's got her eyes rolled back in the back of her head. And it just goes, I mean, it's like a graphic novel.
That's really cool.
Very few words. That's one thing I would say about all of his books is that he chooses his words very carefully. They're sparse. Mm-hmm. He wrote and did After the Fall. Okay. How Humpty Dumpty, got back up, which was huge. And those illustrations. So here's it's just so creative.
That's really cool.
It's just, he's got his imagination going on. There was a pirate scene. There was,
look how detailed those pictures are too. My goodness.
Immensely.
Those are awesome.
The whole thing is like when it goes to the imagination, it goes upside down. It's one of those books that you want to linger on because you don't go through once, you don't notice everything the first time. Right. You've got to read it many, many times. So, Are We There Yet by Dan Santan. So I'm super excited. He's also going to be part of the conference. So we have
That's cool.
30 people.
Do you really?
30 plus presenters, plus 3 kind of keynotes. So
awesome.
Really, really excited about it. And if you're listening to this on Monday or Tuesday, we're going to open up registration on the 1st. So keep an eye out for that.
So maybe the next episode we need to talk about that.
I think it would be really cool. Yeah. That would be, yeah.
Very cool. All right. Well, thanks for sharing those, Dee Dee. That makes me want to go buy some books now for my little ones. But
our friendship is expensive. I'm sorry.
Well, I guess two teachers that when Dee Dee brought this idea up to me, and I mentioned that I was looking through my tubs. That's one thing that I think we forget about sometimes. I know when I was in the classroom, my books were on shelves after shelf after shelf after shelf around the classroom, and there were so many that I'd forget about. So sometimes it's worth the time just to sit down and remember what you have and find one that maybe you haven't read this year and maybe one that your kids picked out or one that just sparked something, So use what you have for sure. Use that library, but Amazon's the way to go as well.
Right. And there's a lot of small bookstores like you had mentioned as well. Mm-hmm. That would really need some support. So if that is something that, if you can be patient, oftentimes you have to be patient to get those books. They're not, Amazon's not constantly they're not constantly circling your neighborhood anyhow. So there's some small bookstores that you can support as well that I think is a great idea. And I'll add a couple of those that you can find online that you might, want. If you're thinking, I need this book for, Are We There Yet would be a great end of school year kind of book to do. And they could talk about their summer plans, or I think the summer is going to be a summer of the road travel versus, maybe air travel. Smaller trips as things start to open up, maybe seeing people that you haven't been able to see for a long time, such as grandparents or relatives, that are, so they're going to be hearing, are we there yet? A lot.
Right.
So,
Now, there's something special about going into a small local bookshop too. Like we found one back in I think it was the fall, or maybe around Christmas. We were in a town near here, and it was just this cool little shop, kind of a hole in the wall place, like wood floors, all over it. It was just something different about going in a bookshop rather than, a big box store or searching online. So yeah, I highly encourage people to check those out.
My favorite one in San Diego is still, cause it's been a minute since I've lived there.
Right.
It was called Yellow Book Road.
Oh, that's cool.
And
we found one when we were in New Orleans a couple years ago, just like on a side street off of Bourbon Street somewhere. But it was one of those places where you could tell that people had just collected book after book. Like there was no organization system whatsoever. It was like books were stacked on top of each other from the floor to the ceiling. There were shelves. There were not shelves. There were books thrown on couches. Like it was just this basically a giant closet full of books, but you could just browse around and buy anything you wanted to in there. It was the most bizarre looking shop I've ever seen in my life. But I mean, there had to have been hundreds of thousands of books in that store. It was crazy.
Yeah. It's one of those things you go in there and I just get really excited when I start to walk in an area and the children's section is all built out for you. Yellow Book Road it has been permanently closed. I don't know exactly when they shut, their doors. I know they moved out of a certain place, and so a certain location I used to go to, but it was just a book dedicated to children's books,
That's cool.
A store dedicated to children's books. So it was really cool. And I'm sad to see that they're not there, but they had opened the door, 30 something years ago. So it's very possible that, they just retired. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for sharing those ideas. We'll see you guys next time.
All right. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for listening to the Classroom Collaborative Podcast.
If you are enjoying these episodes, please make sure that you subscribe wherever you are finding them.
And share and rate it so others can find it as well.
We'll see you guys on the next episode. Thanks for listening.
Bye.